Guys, I have good news and I have bad news. Which one would you like first? Well, you can't even answer that. And also, they're both kind of the same news. So let's go over it. The bad news is Bitcoin looks like shit and it is hanging on by a thread. Okay. I haven't, guys, look, I made a video a week ago when I was in Cancun saying it looks like shit back when we were way up. Since 71K, I've been saying 64K. What I meant by 64K is at least 64K, so sub 64K, which we obviously hit while we were at all-time highs, and everybody and their mother was calling for higher. So I was saying sub 64K, and then I was saying all-time high, and then I was saying 43K. And while I do absolutely still think that we are going to go to dump city, I do think that this good slash bad news, depending on your view of the market, may come into fruition here. Okay, so the bad news is that Bitcoin is hanging on by a thread. I mean, bad if you're a bull, bad for the bulls. For me, I don't care what price is. I'd rather it go down, but doesn't matter. The bad news is that Bitcoin is hanging on by a thread. It looks like ass. And if Bitcoin decides to roll over here, not only will it easily take 58,227, easily, okay? Easily. But if we start heading down towards 58,227, we are going to, in my opinion, easily come down to the low that we put in back in April, coming down to 56.4. And if we come down to 56.4, we are easily gonna come to, if I can get my magnet tool, whatever, you're gonna have to get over it, easily gonna come to 53K. Okay, it's quite simple. It's very simple, right? It's just order flow. If you lose this, you're coming to this. If you lose this, you're coming to this. If you lose this, you're coming to this. Very simple. The odds of us losing one while bouncing is, in my opinion, very slim. Now, why am I saying that Bitcoin is hanging on by a thread? Well, because it is. If you zoom out here and we turn off our analysis, which shouldn't have even been on in the beginning, but I'm not going to edit stuff because, you know, too lazy. Let's turn all the TA off. On the 4-hour time frame, objectively speaking, don't come for me. Objectively speaking, okay, pencil next. Your 4-hour time frame is low, is a downtrend, okay? We are right now looking for / may have found that lower high to make the lower low on the 4-hour time frame because that is our expectational order flow. Now, remember I said if we start getting like, I'm going to talk about a level here in a second, but if we start losing this 57, we're easily coming down to this low. And then if you lose this and don't SFP it, we're coming down to 53, right? So expectational order flow on the 4-hour time frame is bearish, right? Is to make a lower high, lower low, and that is essentially why I got super bearish here, and that's why I made that video while I was in Cancun in June, saying everybody's absolutely crazy. The 4-hour time frame flipped bearish. You're all nuts. Short it to zero. Okay. So what is the good news? Right? I mean, it's hanging on by a thread, whatever. The good news for Bitcoin is now if I turn my TA back on, and I hope it's one of these levels. Yes. Okay. Beautiful. Now, if I turn my TA back on, Bitcoin has a couple levels and a couple levels only that it can bounce from. And no, I'm not referring to the golden pocket. I'm referring to smart money, guys. I'm referring to order blocks, okay? Bitcoin right now has one more valid order block that it can come to. And that order block is these coordinates here, okay? 59887, 59773. This is the very last order block within the range, okay? The good news in that is that if Bitcoin decides to make a bounce, this is where it's going to be from. It can make one more low because it has not actually mitigated this last order block with the blue coordinates, right? The blue tags. However, right now, this is the last of it. Now, good confluence with the bullish scenario as well is if I turn on the TPO chart, you can see at the lows here, we actually did have good lows, meaning we don't actually need to come back down here. And if I zoom out, we can see that we've been building up a pretty decent amount of liquidity. Now, we've talked about this liquidity many times on the channel. We've talked about the liquidity in my last videos and on my live stream today. And we talked about how in order for me personally to flip bullish on Bitcoin, I need to see that 4-hour structure, which I drew out for you in the beginning of the video, flip bullish. Okay, I need to see a higher high, higher low, higher high. Now, until that happens, We are not in, or I am not flipping macro bullish, and I'm not gonna entertain my all-time high prediction. Although it's a prediction, it's a little bit far away right now. I can't predict that. But what I will tell you is that in the event that the 4-hour time frame flips bullish, what did we talk about in terms of order flow? It's not that hard to recover all that liquidity. And so I believe if the 4-hour time frame were to flip bullish, then your order flow objective would be to take the all-time high, and we would be expecting higher. Okay. Now we have a little bit more of good news for this is the good news scenario for the bulls. Okay. Like we know, we are at the macro. Don't worry about my positions. We are at the macro low of the range. And when you're at the macro low of the range, you should be looking for longs. Now, the same way that we have this liquidity being built up towards the highs, we also locally have started to build liquidity. If I come on the 10-minute time frame, you can see that we actually have quite a nice liquidity curve that we had put in over the last few days. And I actually thought that this wick was going to take this wick out, which would make things a lot more bearish. But because we left this liquidity behind, in addition to the macro liquidity, things are looking pretty, decent for somewhat of a recovery, considering we are at the very last order blocks. Now, remember, it's good news and bad news, because Bitcoin is hanging on by a string here, and that string is this order block, or this final one. Basically, we'll call it around 50. We'll give it some room. We'll say 59.6 is the final, like warning, okay? And in the event that we lose that, I already told you where I think we're going to go to, right? But if we were to hold it, just like on the higher term time frames, we have a bunch of liquidity that we can grab. And so if we start to flip structure bullishly, perhaps we start taking these highs up here, okay, at around 61.1, for example. I'm not going to get too technical with it. You're going to have to tune into the live streams for that. Then, your expectational order flow, your order flow objective, in my opinion, would be to target this high, because you can see we have that liquidity. And then if we take this high and we start closing candles above this level here, then all of a sudden your 1-hour structure, which just flipped bearish, by the way, would then flip back to bullish. And if 1-hour structure is bullish, then you're probably going to come up to that 4-hour high. Okay. Now, this is your 4-hour high at the moment. And just like we have this liquidity curve here, we also have quite a bit of liquidity above these highs as well. There's no denying that we've been in a very slow downtrend, generating a lot of liquidity above us, and the 4-hour time frame is no different. So this could be the final straw, line in the sand, whatever you want to say, for us to get that squeeze to the upside. But it all depends on us getting a structure flip here. I am currently looking for longs. I was looking for longs on my 4-hour live stream today. Couldn't find any, because sure enough, obviously we fell down further after I got off stream. Couldn't find any longs. Still haven't found any longs. Not crazy about the way Bitcoin is looking. I still think Bitcoin is looking absolutely horrendous, which I've been screaming on Twitter. I've been kind of a little gremlin on Twitter, I'm not going to lie, but that's because you guys come and you say that I'm crazy for saying that price can go down. Like, God forbid, price can go down below 60K. Anyways, this is my current analysis right now, and, we'll see. Remember, my prediction from, I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago was 64K, all-time high, and then 43K. And I do think that if we take the all-time high, if we pull up Market Cipher, and we take the all-time high, I mean, look, the reason I'm even talking about all-time highs is because the 3-day money flow is thick, and we know the thicker the money flow, the more chance of divergences. So I would be expecting something like this, perhaps, on the 3-day time frame. So this could take like a month to play out. We sweep these highs, get an SFP. Everybody and their mother will be bullish. I mean, everybody and their mother is already bullish, which is why I wouldn't be surprised if that line in the sand, we lose it. I wouldn't be surprised, because everybody's asking me condescendingly, did I buy the dip? Did I buy the dip? Go watch my last video if you haven't seen it. I covered that, and that was like thousands of dollars ago. Anyways, because market cipher B on the 3-day time frame is looking like this is kind of what I'm expecting. But I'm telling you guys this, if we touch, and I've said this many times, if we touch all-time high before we, at the very minimum, touch 53K, in my opinion, it is way more bearish than it is bullish. If we leave this liquidity intact, if you're bullish on Bitcoin, you should want it to go down. And if you're bullish on Bitcoin, you should want to not come back up, because then we have reason to come up later. I think inevitably we're going to come down. I don't think that it stands a chance. I think this move is unsustainable. There's no way that it's just going to continue, in my opinion. So if we touch all-time high, which I'm praying for us to touch all-time high because I love shorting. So if we touch all-time high and I see the confirmations I want to see above these highs, I will giga short it. If not, I have no problem with us ripping it down to 53K from now. And you know what? It can actually go a whole lot lower than that because there isn't that much support here. Now, we're not going to talk about that today because that's a little bit far away, and we are traders. I don't care about price. I don't care if it goes up or down. I really don't. Doesn't make a difference to me. But I'm just letting you guys know what I see, just like I let you know what I saw at the highs when everybody was calling for new all-time highs, and I was telling you guys, whoa, 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 slow your roll. Guys, if you like the content, hit the like button. If you love it, hit the subscribe button. If you are looking to trade on any of the exchanges that I trade on, all the links are in the description down below. Shouts out to the sponsor of the channel, Market Cypher. I don't know where the logo is because I'm outside and I'm not in my studio. Yeah, that's it. I will see you in the next stream, which will be probably Monday. And you know, hopefully you guys have preserved your capital by then and didn't lose it all trying to long every dip because Twitter's telling you to long every single dip. And that's it. That's all I got for you.